Welcome to this week's Wednesday Waffle. We're about 2 minutes ahead of schedule, but so we'll be starting bang on the hour. Those of you that are new, the Wednesday Waffle is my weekly business update where I talk about everything that's been going on in the company this week. Sort your hair out. I've just woke up. Oh, excuse me, from a short nap. It's been up most of the day, so I went out for a run and then had a brainwave, and then have been on the road all day since that brainwave. So, so the weekly business update is named the Wednesday Waffle. We'll be getting going in just under a minute's time. If you've got any initial questions, please feel free to fire away. I'm really sorry. Oh, but yes, I talk about everything that's going on in the brand, the highs and the lows. It's very much just an open and honest update of what we've been getting up to as a company, of which, yet again, like always, it has been a very, very busy week. I think we're almost there. So where is everybody watching from tonight? Will, yes I am. I've literally just on Saturday started a bit of leave. Well, I say just on Saturday. I'm going into work tomorrow. Tomorrow and oh my lord, I'm so sorry. Saturday is actually my last day, but the last busy day was Saturday just gone. So we're at 8 o'clock now. So let's get cracking without any further ado. So welcome to this week's Wednesday Waffle. I believe this is episode number 14, where I talk about the highs and lows and realities of running a business. Still serving, mate. Looks like you with Horse Guards, Blues and Rules are lifeguards. No, I'm Coldstream Guards. Hence the low... No, you set me off yawning. Sorry, Kath. I'm Coldstream Guards, hence the logo. I've just been working alongside the cavalry in the household division stables the last few months. So last week, from last Wednesday, there's been a great deal happening. Mainly final preparations in the run-up to the show season, which I've got. The first date planned, and again, this was a bit of a late addition to the schedule. Is a polo competition this weekend, of which the details can be found on my story. They're all on the calendar. So we've got the Rutland Cup this weekend. Is there no company in the UK that spin our UK wool? So yes, Kathleen, there is, and it's something I was going to be talking about actually, but as you mentioned it, I'll talk about it right now. Inverted. So my wool initiative, which I want to get set up, almost like a Fairtrade board for wool for our farmers. I've done that because from what I'm aware is the Rutland Cup. So it's near Burley, it's Leicestershire area, but if you look on my story, I'm sure if you just type that in as well, Rutland Polo Club, it might not even be called the Rutland Cup, but yeah, just type in Rutland Polo Club. I think it's £5 entry to come along for the day. But yes, So what I've identified sourcing for some of my wool, so boiled wool in particular, is next to impossible to source from the UK because simply our manufacturers, there hasn't been the demand. So our ability to produce boiled wool as a nation has basically fallen by the wayside. So my boiled wool I have to actually source from Germany. It's one of the few fabrics across the range that I have to source overseas. So having to do that really made me start digging below the surface to work out, right, what is actually going on with our wool industry. So I've found a place called Hainsworth. They're one of the only, and they said they think they're the only, and I've not found, I haven't found any evidence to suggest that they're not true, but they are the only vertical mill, woolen mill in the UK. And what a vertical mill means is they get the raw wool and they produce it, process it, mill it, and everything all the way to the final product. So that they would be someone that I would deem to have no fat in their chain, so to speak. There's no extra middlemen. There's no one else adding extra little layers. And I spoke to them on Friday and again on Monday about what a Fairtrade Wool Board within the UK would look like. It's one of my initiatives that I want to do, which I'm quite excited about. And equally, as somebody has been just bloody going on I'm not sure, but I think there is someone that boils wool in Somerset. Kath, can you look into that, please? And inbox me them details, please, because I would be very, very keen to find that person. I speak about my 100% British manufacturing and 85% of the way there with the fabrics. I'm very open and honest about that. My buttons was, for me, quite a big win about a month or so ago that I found somewhere in the UK that does the buttons. Even down to my packaging, I'm trying to get as close to 100% as I can. So my boxes are all made in the UK, which the gilets come in, the smocks come in a suit carrier within a box. They are from Leicester. And my pin badges at the moment, I have to source them from overseas, but I just, I think it was Saturday when I was driving back, I was on a phone call with a guy from Middlesex who believes he can produce my pin badges for me. So, I'm always looking to really tighten that up. When I can get to 100%, so manufacturing 100%, that has been right from the start. Not a single item of clothing I've ever sold has been made overseas. But the fabrics are just not quite there yet. So, Kath, if you can look into that for me, I would be greatly appreciative. Having a good hair day, I see. Yeah, mate. And then how that ties into the rest of the United Kingdom. So the Welsh government are actively trying to bring manufacturing back to Wales. Out of all of the countries, they're probably the one that's been hit the worst. Although, quite honestly, I've not been able to look into Northern Ireland. But they have grants available for specifically to bring manufacturing back to Wales, back to the valleys. And eventually, in my 5-year plan, I really want to have a Fairtrade British Wool Board established, with the centre focus being around a factory set up in Wales somewhere, with the help of the Welsh government. And so at the moment, the only product that I've got manufactured in Wales is my gazebo, which, if you come along to one of my shows, one of my stands at one of the many shows that I'm at this year, you'll be able to see. So that's that. On a King's Shilling professional side of life, On Saturday, we had the King's Birthday Parade, which went off without a hitch. I went and had, yeah, I know, Kath, it's absolutely disgusting. So if you're watching on TikTok, there's a lady called Kathleen who has just commented saying farmers get pennies for wool in the UK, which I was sort of aware of, but I didn't know exactly how bad it can be. Excuse me, sorry. Thank you. Sorry about that. So a full fleece, a farmer could expect to get quite literally pence, and I mean pence, for a fleece. We have 600 good fleeces a year from our use and get 50 quid. Wow. You know, so that there is Mowers Country Life over on TikTok, by the way. They've just commented saying they have 600 good fleeces a year from their use and gets 50 quid. Yeah, I haven't got my glasses on, but yeah, I had to just lean forward. 50 pounds. And mowers, roughly how much would a full fleece weigh? While you wait to answer that, I'm just going to carry on talking. But yeah, so in my estimation, now I could be wrong here. We're going to wait for mowers to answer us there, but I think about 5 kilos potentially. Now the fabric I use is I usually try and go for about 380 GSM, so gram per square metre. So a metre of fabric is 1.5 metres wide. So I estimate by the time one fleece goes from a farmer at less than £1 each, you know, that then can be turned into about 10 metres or so, 2 to 4 kilos maybe. Okay, so yeah, around about maybe 10 metres of fabric that'll make. Now 10 metres of fabric, 1.5 metres wide, metre long. You can expect, depending on the quality, the weight, the processing, you can expect to pay anywhere between £10 to £35. So from that leaving the farmer, going to a processing plant, being boiled, having all the greases and the oils stripped from it in the boiling process. This isn't the boiled wool process, by the way. This is just processing the wool ready to be processed into a mill, to be spun into a yarn, to be made into a fabric. And then going through the dyeing process, at which point turned into a fabric, and then it can be boiled if it's a boiled wool, and then it reaches me. So it goes from being worth literal pence to then worth, you know, 10 metres or so, between 10 and 35 quid. You're talking 100 to 350 odd quid from less than 30 to 40 pence. So I just think there's got to be a lot of fat in that chain somewhere. And why is it that farmers are being, you know, it's daylight robbery, because it's an accepted fact that it's, oh, well, it's a byproduct of the meat industry. And that really just doesn't sit right with me. Right at the beginning, yeah, exactly, Kath. You know, the fashion industry as a whole is trying to become more sustainable, trying to use more sustainable products, trying to use less plastics. Within, you know, these are 100% cotton. So there's no microplastics and anything like that. So that the industry is trying to become more sustainable. But how can we be sustainable if we gut our farmers in this country to a point where wool just becomes unfeasible? You know, we're then going to have to import our wool, at which point we're putting more carbon miles on the fabrics that we're using. So then it's, you know, we're trying to be more sustainable, use less plastics, but then we're adding more carbon miles into our products. It just doesn't work out. Tell me what kind of wool sheet you want for good wool, and we'll get some in. Now you see, that is that again. So the upcoming female gilets, they are Hainsworth use merino wool, which comes from New Zealand, unfortunately. But the whole processing, everything, they get the raw fabric from New Zealand to produce the wool that's going to be used on the female gilets. But it's something that I'm going up to Yorkshire in a few weeks' time to visit Hainsworth and really talk about this and work out, right, what can we be doing to be using as close to, British sheep, British processed and British made products. So it's something that I've really stuck my bloody teeth into. And at the moment, as I'm pulling away at it, it is tasting pretty bitter, what I'm finding out. But again, I'm only 9 months in at this point. So, in what little time I've achieved so much, but there is so much more to be doing. And I really feel that in sort of a couple of years' time, I could be making such a difference with what I'm doing. I'm already now producing very, very high quality garments, which are genuinely built to last. But I do not want it to stop there. I want it to be at a point where I'm making genuine differences to people's lives up and down this country in the supply chain alone, let alone the initiatives that I'm doing, working with Ebony Horse Club, donating their money through the profits that I make. I'm also going to be working in the future with Cool Ridings. Yeah, exactly. Small changes, big differences, Daz. Abso-flipping-lutely. So that person there, if you're on TikTok and you can't see the Instagram feed, so Yorkshire Field Sports UK. So it's the UK above your head, not Brazil. Yeah, I guess so. I've just happened to sit here. I woke up from a bit of a nap. But yeah, over on TikTok. So that was Yorkshire Field Sports UK. They are my first official stockist, which I was going to be getting onto, but we're here now, so let's talk about that. So big news this week. Also, Yorkshire Field Sports UK, they are a shop up in Sheffield. They're online, they're on social media, and they're at a lot of shows all up in the north. That's run by a fella called Big Daz. He is an ex-soldier. I almost said also, not quite yet. We'll find out what's going on with that in my life in the next day or two. I actually thought it was Tuesday. So I was hoping to announce what's going on with my life. But no, Big Daz, although big, yes, he's just put his website up there, YorkshireFieldSportsApparel.co.uk. Go and have a look at their site, see what other stuff that they've got going on. They, like myself, they are running a retail outlet, so for them, they can't go fully British made because there just is not enough stuff out there, which is something I'm trying to change. And by supporting me, he is showing that he is committed. He is committed to exactly what I'm trying to do, but also he needs to be his business needs to be viable. So he started off with me. He's helping me out. And he's also backing British farmers, he's backing British manufacturing, and he's backing British grassroots charities and sports initiatives that I am doing by stocking my product. So yeah, thank you, Daz, mate. You really have, this is just the first step, the first page, the first paragraph in a chapter of what is going to be a very, very long book that is going to be making unbelievable and profound changes up and down this country in years to come. And mark my words, the big brands are going to be, they're not paying attention. Well, I mean, I don't know if they're paying attention yet. I would think there's probably a few of them that are aware of me and just watching, hoping that I fail, but I will not. And I will not because of all of you watching now, everyone that's been in them order forms. Yeah, big changes are coming to the fashion industry within our niche. So yeah, stay tuned. So, other news then. The secret project is cooperative working is the start. It's great to see, mate. Stick at it. Thank you, Dan, mate. Dan, how are you, mate? International shipping. Yes, I do international shipping. Message me individually. Let me know where it's coming to. It would just depend where it's going to. I have shipped internationally to Canada. So yeah, and that got there absolutely fine. So yeah, we just need to know where it is. So Mrs. Let me take a look. I'll definitely order it, waiting for the women's gilet. Yeah, they are going to be really bloody nice. The fabrics for them will be arriving to me tomorrow. So again, the female gilets. I like to get as many people involved with this brand as I possibly can. So I put the vote out. We're going to have, for the first 4, we'll have a forest, which is a really nice dark green, a medical maroon, which is, as is, a medical maroon, a really nice, deep, rich red colour. Truffle, which is a similar to this, but like a really light olive colour. And then a sunset, which is a really nice light orange, really nice light, such a thick, rich colour. And again, it was voted for by the community, so they are the 4 colours that are going to be coming out in the female gilets. And yeah, so the secret project, I've got the first image of one of them completed today. So I'm hoping I'll be getting some real nice images out of them in the coming days. And then the Clarkson call out, that has been going from strength to strength. Please take a look and share it. Tag him in there. Let's try and get his attention. As soon as I get my secret project, I'm going to be straight down there trying to get in front of him and trying to get his support. And then today, rewind, probably about 18 hours or so, I was in bed, just nodding off, had a last little swipe through the social medias to keep on top of things, and I saw a post from Simon Squibb about his Ring doorbell, where you can go and pitch your idea to a doorbell. And there's a few of them around the country. And I was up quite late. I remember it was probably about 1 o'clock this morning. I was just sat up in bed looking out the window with my head, as always, which is most days a storm of thoughts and ideas. So I went out running this morning in my Deliveroo top, as I do sometimes. And I sometimes go out in my Deliveroo top if I'm feeling particularly down and I need that extra motivation. Because it reminds me of my first business when I got myself into quite a financial hole. And I, over the space of sort of 2 years, when I was first working at Knightsbridge, I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, do my morning routine, sort of 4:30, and that would consist of an ice cold shower first thing, followed by half an hour of yoga, followed by a double espresso, and then I'd have sort of half an hour with my thoughts before then going into work, sort of finish around between 1 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, depending what the day would be like. I'd then nap for about 2 hours, wake up at about 5 o'clock, look out the window, have another stretch, and then go out on my bike, Deliverooing from anywhere, double whiskey, not right now. No, it was a double espresso. I'd then go out Deliverooing for sort of 4, 5, 6 hours. I'd try and not ever finish before 9 o'clock, and that was my life. I'd then come back, have a bit of food, get back into bed, and then wake up sort of 4, 5 hours later, depending how that looked. And that was my life for about 2 years or so. It was bloody hard work. I mean, I was very fit because I was Deliverooing on my pedal bike, no gears, just a fixie. And that got me out of that hole. And what they taught me, that first failed business, I never went to university. I dropped out of school early. So yeah, I left school with nothing really. I was made redundant at 16 years old from my first job as a bike mechanic in a little small town bike shop. So that first business, I call that my degree, and it cost me 34 grand. And I paid for that with Deliveroo. So, often when I'm a bit down and I need a bit of motivation, I wear my Deliveroo top when I go running to remind myself, I can do anything that I set my mind to. I pulled myself out of what was nearly my yearly wage in debt in just 2 years, alongside my normal wage, but extra graft. And then as I was out running this morning, I was thinking about the post I saw with Simon Squibb, and I just decided, you know what, today is the day to just go for it and just bloody do it. So I had a first meeting I needed to go to, not a meeting, but I went down to a place called Hesselmere. So it's about an hour and a bit away from me where I am, but Royal Ascot's on at the minute, and it's directly in between me and Hesselmere where I was going, so I had to box round to get there. The harder you fall, the higher you rise. Yeah, thank you, Kath. Went there and then set off into Twickenham, which is where the doorbell is. Pulled into a little car park, and there was a guy stood there when I at the camera when I first arrived, and I just put the window down and said, "You all right, mate? Is that the doorbell?" He's like, yeah. I was like, have we got to wait or something? He's like, no, I'm just sat thinking what I want to say, and I was like, all right, mate, cool. And then I wound my window down and pulled in. I was just thinking, how could you come here and not know what you want to say? And I'd been playing it over and over and over and over and over in my head what I was going to say. And then I went up and there was instructions, and it was like, press the doorbell, wait 5 seconds, then you have 60 seconds, tell us your idea, and then leave your handle. And I've put this video of my pitch up. It's not the last video exact, it was a collaboration with Yorkshire Field Sports, but it's the one just before that. I'm stood there in a Deliveroo top. The front picture is the actual staircase, and I didn't realise it actually cut off time, so I ended up having to press it again and go again, and then give me handle and stuff. But yeah, I just think what I'm aiming to get from that is just guidance, advice, and between the 15 entrepreneurs that see them videos, that there is so much talent there, so much exposure. And that is basically what I'm after. And then when I was driving there, I was texting via like the voice text my business partner, a lad called Jay, and getting the numbers of what we're actually doing. So they talk about lots of things in business. So AOV, average order value, CPC, cost per customer, conversion rate. The conversion rate is how many people. So if you have 100 people visit the store and one person buys, that's a 1% conversion rate. And then your average order value, the average amount a customer spends when they buy. And then your KPIs, and all of them are your KPIs, so your key performance indicators. Now, all this is stuff you learn in business school, business college, or business university, and it's all stuff that I've had to learn along the way. Not bad for a kid that left school with 1 GCSE. But then as he was telling me all these, I actually realised, I haven't crunched the numbers like that, like a proper businessman, since I've done this. And I realised, we are actually doing quite good. And that really is down to telling my stories and people that are listening and, getting involved with this brand. So yeah, and I suppose I don't really know where I'm going with this, other than I just want to say thank you to every one of you that watches each week, every one of you that have gone forward and bought something. It really shows me, them valleys are deep, and I talk about this quite a lot, but the mountains are bloody high, and I haven't quite made it to the top of a mountain yet, nowhere near, but I tell you what, as I'm getting up the side of them hills, I've thought about this a couple of times. I talk about the peaks and the valleys, And with my first business, I actually got the idea on a place called Onion Range in the Falklands when a mate of mine busted his knee out, and that gave me the first idea for the Kazivac stretcher that I invented when I brought him down. I remember I think about being stood up like halfway up the mountain, looking down at the road where I had to take him down to when I carried him down, and it's like I feel like I've got to there a couple of times. That sort of halfway up the mountain, but we're getting there with everything that I'm trying to do. So that is the Wednesday Waffle. That is the business as a whole this week. Great work and well done. Thank you, Military Merchandise. What company were you in? So, Richard, I'm still in support company, 1st Battalion Coldstream Guards. I'm a section commander in the anti-tank platoon, which in a rifle company, a section commander is a lance sergeant or a full screw or a full corporal. But in the anti-tank platoon, a section commander is a full sergeant. Excuse me. The platoon sergeant is a colour sergeant, and our platoon commander is a captain. So everyone is a step up. Oh my God, were you really? You're an ex-Coldstreamer. What were you in? Girdlestone, Richard Girdlestone. When were you in? So I first joined in back end of 2010. So when the battalion was on their last fighting tour in Helmand on Herrick 11, I was in training. I was one of the first lot to join. I was the first lot crew to get to battalion after their last fighting tour. So, as you can imagine, sort of 16 years ago now, 15 years ago, sorry, that was a hairy, hairy place to be. Thank you and inspiration for any person looking to set up a manufacturing business. I just wish the government helped more. Yeah, so do I, mate. Finished in 2013 after 23 years. Yes, I missed you by about 2 years, Richard. I knew someone in Coulson who got shot in Ireland. Flipping heck. The Coulson family is a very, very big family, as is all of the militaries. And it's taught me a lot about resilience. I think that's probably the biggest thing I've got from the military, resilience. Another strong attribute is probably the problem solving. We're taught that coined phrase of no plan survives contact with the enemy. And it's sort of a throwaway comment, but it is so transferable into all aspects of life. It's like, how many of you watching there have had a plan to do something, and it just doesn't work out, and you have to think on your feet and make a quick change for success. It is that no plan survives contact with the enemy. Richard. So my company sergeant major is a guy called in fact I don't want to say his full name, but Louis. He may have been a guardsman in the tanks when you were there. Calstock, good to see you doing well. Definitely need to catch up soon. Keep up the good work. Yeah, mate. Yeah, flipping, mate. Oh, just messaged me, man. I had a random person phone me earlier, although I know we know each other. But I had someone ring me earlier, and I ended up on the phone to them for about 40 minutes until Amazon. I got an email saying, the driver handed it to the resident. I looked out the door, the parcel wasn't there, and then I ran out the back door and saw him trying to drive down the road, and I stopped him, and then I got into a bit of an argument with him. Made him come round to the front door, saw that the parcel wasn't there, got him on video, basically catching him out, and I'll be sending that on to him. But thank you to everyone that's he is the badge indeed. Thank you all for watching tonight. This episode of the Wednesday Waffle will be going up onto our YouTube channel later this evening, but I normally put a story up about it around about this time tomorrow. So thank you all for watching. Please take a look at the website. The polos, although they've been delayed, I should be receiving them next week. You can pre-order them now. along with the LO quarter zips. They are going to be arriving in the next couple of weeks. You can put £10 down for one of them, and then the last 70 will be taken at the end of the month when we've all been paid. They are really nice, and again, talking about that sustainability, they're a polycotton waffle knit weave. But I'm actively, when I get to Hainsworth in a few weeks' time, I'm going to be looking at some, although they are wools, I'm going to be looking at some British milled cottons to do that in. So yeah, lots going on. Thank you all. Excuse me, sorry. Thank you all for watching, and please follow the brand. Take a look at the website. Keep an eye on what we're doing. Any support, even as little as just sharing any of my posts, commenting on it, it all helps. So you know, obviously there's quite a few people are hard up at the moment. And buying clothing is so far down that list. But if you want to help me succeed in what I'm doing, so we get to a point where British manufacturing is booming again, share anything you see, like anything, comment on it. It really goes so far. And I tend to have a lot of down days, with this, because it's bloody hard self-funding this. So you know, I read every comment. I try and reply to every single comment in you know, sort of immediately. Some of the bigger posts I struggle with, just because I need to keep hold of my sanity and silence my phone at some point in the evening. But no, thank you all for watching. You honestly, the lot of yous are keeping me going these last couple of months, so thank you. Good night, God bless, and God save the King.
My polls recently